Welcome along to the demonstration of Sage 50 job costing. This demonstration is designed for accountants and bookkeepers in practice, but it is also applicable to any general business that wants to use the job costing software. So if you found that the project costing module within Sage 50 accounts doesn't quite meet your needs, then hopefully job costing will be able to give you that bit of extra detail that you need into your jobs and your projects. So it works on a modular system. So we have our job details down on the left hand side in here. We have our accounts postings, our labour area, and our company settings. So when you set up a job, you need to obviously set up a company first of all, and within the company preferences you've got your standard information about the business and then some specific settings in there about setting the next job number, automatically generating job numbers, and the job number is only numeric. You would also set up job classifications in here. So in our example, it is a garage that works on cars. So we have the ability to class our jobs into fleet, free of charge and private. And then under that we have the job analysis level. So the job analysis, for each of the different analysis code categories, you're then able to apply the different results. So for our MOT results, it can be a pass or a fail, our payment type, the source of the work, and the type of the work that's been undertaken. So it is very flexible from the analysis reporting within the job costing software. Looking at the cost categories, you can, if you wish, use up to 10 cost categories. So that just allows you to break down your costs and then report on them in those ways. And then we also have cost codes. So these are the individual elements that are generic over all of your jobs. You don't need to use all of them for all of your jobs. You can simply select the ones that are applicable for your job. So in this case, we have our labour, materials, and we also have our different groups as well. So we have a materials group, which you can see here. And somewhere down there will be a labour group as well. If we edit any of those cost codes, then it's very easy to see the type of information that you have with costings, budgets and billing, and any notes against them as well. And there's no restriction on the number of cost codes that you can have within the job costing software. And then you are also able to set up pay rates and charge out bands for the business as a whole, which you can overwrite at individual employee level. So in this case, we have a few different pay rates, which we can simply edit. So you've got the choice of the description and the default cost rate or amount. And the charge out bands are just two in this example of normal and manager. And then, as I said before, you do have a default rate which you can overwrite at individual level. And then again, when you're actually producing invoices, it can be overwritten at that stage as well. But it's nice to have the ability to set the defaults for the business as a whole. Moving up to the labour module, in here we have the employee records. And if you do use Sage 50 Payroll, you'll be pleased to know that you can import your employees' details over from payroll without having to input them in here manually. And if we double click onto one of our employees, we'll see the information being brought over in there. If they are linked to a certain supplier, you can do that in this window and you can see where they've been employed from. And then, as I mentioned before, if they are charged out at different rates or if they have a different cost rate from the default rates for the business, then you can override it in here. And the same with the charge out bands, they can be overwritten in here as well. You can do batch timesheet entry. So this is the professional variant that we're looking at today of the job costing software. With the professional variant, you have multi-user capability, and you also have this functionality where you can come in and process timesheets in a grid format. So if you've got a lot of timesheets to do, this is quite a handy feature to have enabled. So you would simply select your employee from the list, select the job number that they've been working on, and the relevant thing that they've been doing on that job under your cost codes. You can put details against it and comments against those details. And then you can put in the number of hours that they've been working on that element of the job. Their charge type, so how they want to be charged out on this one, and the number of hours applicable. And then you would go on row by row, entering either for the same employee, lots of different jobs they've been working on, or for multiple employees at this point. And there's also the ability to edit timesheets. So within the timesheet maintenance area, we can come back and edit timesheet for that individual, reset it back to 0, print it off, and if you do have a link with the payroll software, you should just be able to see down there that you can then post those timesheets over to the payroll software, and it handily pops up with the date it was last updated over to payroll. You can also display levers on that list as well. Moving on to accounts postings. So this is where you would process any purchase invoices that you want to apply to a certain job. If you have stock that you manage within the business, then you do have the ability to connect the stock through the job costing software as well. So stock issues and stock returns. And then any general overhead payments, for example, that you want to be able to apply to a job can be embedded within here. One of the other differences between the standard and the professional job costing software is the ability to manage purchase order processing. So that is only available with the professional variant of job costing. I'll just show you what the purchase invoice window would look like. So it's a similar grid system as it was within the employee screen when they were doing their timesheets. We can choose our account reference, and the drop down of these suppliers is pulled automatically over from the Sage 50 accounts software. So you do need to have Sage 50 accounts plus or professional to be able to work with the job costing, which gets added on as an additional module to Sage 50 accounts plus or professional. If we choose Ford, we can pick up the date, which you can choose if it's not today. Any reference, it will warn me it's outside the financial year, which is quite an old financial year. I think I'll just change that just to stop any more complaints. That should be us now. Put in a reference, and there's an extra reference field in there, just very similar to Sage 50 accounts itself. And then it will update your nominal ledger, and you simply get the drop down of your connected Sage 50 accounts nominal ledger from within the job costing software, so you don't need to set that up again. That's all automatically connected through. If you use departments within Sage 50 accounts, then the departments will link through as well. And then we add in the additional detail of what job this purchase is going to go against. The details against it, the quantity, the net amount, the tax code, again, which will pull through from Sage 50, the tax amount, and the amount to bill, which is picked up from the record within that item. And then you can go on and add in any other purchase invoices, and then you can save that change. Your stock issues, and your stock returns are managed through here. And again, if you do have stock items set up within your Sage 50, they will pull through into this area. And again, you can apply the stock movement to the job, the cost amount, and the charge rate and the amount to bill based on that. The bank payment, so again, the bank account details will pull over from Sage 50 accounts. You can apply any expenses, for example. So if I go to my drop down, in this case I may have bought an item of machinery that I want to specify as just for one single job, so I can apply it to a job, or it might be any kind of other general expenses. Again, you've got the option of putting it against a department and the job number. So it might use an awful lot of electricity to do a tyre check, and I want to apply that to a job. The details of what it is, the quantity, tax code, and amount to bill in here as well. And then finally, your purchase order processing. So you'll see the list of your purchase orders in here, and you can see the status of your orders. We've got one that's cancelled at the bottom. To create a new one, you come up to your new button along the top. The order number will be populated automatically. The order date will be today unless you change it. And then your account reference, again from the drop down. Your item, so in this case, because we don't have stock items, we only have the choice of popping in some message items there. And then you can put in an order item entry with the description of what it is that's been purchased in. I'll just put another cable, any comments against it, quantity in, unit price on that, the VAT amount, any discount that's to be applied, and it will process that purchase through to your nominal code as required. If you're buying in an item which is to be used on multiple jobs, then you'll be pleased to know that you can break it down over multiple jobs at this point. So the details of that will populate automatically. You've also got an order details, the supplier order number, the supplier contact, and any specific notes to do with the order. You've got the footer where you can apply the carriage and any discount on early settlement. And then you've got the delivery information as well, which is popped in there. You can also create a goods received note within this system when it becomes applicable. So there's your item coming through on order. We can look at the status and we can change the status to being off order, cancel it, mark it as complete, or reactivate it. When you get to the delivery stage, you can enter the goods received note, or you can create a goods received note from the selected order. And any of the items we're popping into, you will also have the print option up the top here. And then we can generate an invoice from the selected order. So if you've set a sales price against it, then you can create the invoice from all outstanding to the invoice on the order item details, the delivery note details, or on both of them. So this will then create a purchase invoice, which has been created in full at this point. If something needs credited, you can do so, and you can print it in there. When it has been completed in full, then you can mark it as such using your status bar along the bottom. So it's got really good purchase order processing functionality within job costing. So moving on finally to the job details. So as you can see on the screen at the moment, we have our job record, inquiries, billing, and any miscellaneous costs. But on the main area of the screen, we have a list of all of our jobs. So using the yellow folders, we have the ability to tailor the list over at the right hand side. So if we only want to see our active jobs, then we click onto the active folder and it pops up with the 2 ones that are active at the moment, and so on down the other areas within the all jobs menu. If we look at our white Toyota MR2 MOT rework job, to find out more information about the job, you can either double click on it and it will open up the job record, or you can click on the job record over at the left hand side. So the type of information you can record about the job is quite extensive within the job costing software. We have a large area where you can record the in-depth description of the job. We can mark the status of the job in here, and we also have specific contact information for the job. We have our charging basis. So in this case it's time and materials. It may be just a fixed price, it might be cost plus. There are different ways that it can calculate the charging type of this job. If there is a default order number, anything like that can be set in here, and then you can link it with a customer, so you can also report on this job from the customer point of view as well. Your cost structure, so as I mentioned before, as a default for the whole of the business, you have a whole variety of labour and in this case parts cost areas, so you can select what ones are applicable for this job, and under the revenue structure where you see the money coming in from, and again you can add to that as required. The job costing software also has the ability to add bespoke milestones to the job. So by default it will have a start and completion date in there, but you can add your own milestones, giving it your own description, your own estimated date of when it's due to be completed, and then the actual date of when it reached that milestone. This is the analysis area of the job. So if you remember within the settings menu, where we're able to set up the classification of the job, so whether it was fleet, free of charge or private, and then under the MOT result we haven't got one, so we can set it as fail or pass, payment type, source and type of work. And then finally we do have an area for just free text of notes, so you can date stamp your notes and then you can add in any additional lines, and which will be date stamped in there as well. Moving on to the job inquiries. So the job inquiries is all about where the job is up to at this point in time. You've got your cost summary, so you can see where each of the different areas the money has been going to for this job. We can double click into any of them and we'll see the breakdown of the timesheet, so whose time is on the job. We also have the revenue summary, so you can see these values are pulled through automatically. The last bill date, the total that's been billed, the cost totals and the revenue totals against the price quoted. The suppliers and the employees are populated automatically, and again you can drill down on either of them. So if we look at Ford Direct for example, then you're able to see the purchase invoices that lie against that job. Same with the employees. If we want to see if Anne's been working on the job, what she's been doing on it, then we can come in here and view the details in there, and the same from the stock point of view. Job billing, so this is how you actually get an invoice out the door for the job. We can see in this case that there is an invoice that has already been created and posted. If we want to do an extra sales invoice, then we can go up to new invoice. It will populate the invoice number automatically. You can apply an order number if required, and then you just choose the items. Now again, you probably will have some standard items set up in here, but if you don't, then you can just use the standard message ones and put in your own detail against there as well. You can put in your description of what it was, which, as I said, you can have all of this set up by default beforehand. The quantity, the price for that item, any discount that's applied, what the posting details are, and what 4000 code from a sales point of view you want that to hit. So we'll put 4001. If it's split by department, you can do that in there as well, and then you can split it by your revenue code as well. So there's your invoice, then ready to print. You can review the order details on the second tab, and your footer details for any carriage, settlement discount, trading terms. I'll just stick in 30 in there, which would have come through from our customer. And then you click print at the bottom here. We say yes, we want to save it. And then you have your choice from the list of the different invoice templates. Now I'll choose the email invoice layout because I want to be able to email this invoice, and I'll simply then just preview it on here. So the email one is quite a simplified invoice layout, but you can edit it. The only thing you can't do within the job costing software is you can't embed any image files within any of the reports or invoices. So that's your billing layout. Just to give you a look at the other kind of more standard ones. I'm sure if you've seen Sage software before, you'll recognise that type of layout as well. So there's our second invoice now on the list, which we can go back and save at this point. Not save, we can go back and edit at this point if required. And if it is finalised and we want to post it, then we do so just using the post button in there. So that's a quick overview of the general functionality within the job costing software. The only other area to bring your attention to is the reporting area. So we have had a look at the billing layouts, they're in there. We also have some cost analysis reports and also cost transaction reports. There's employee analysis. There's also job analysis in there as well. And then management analysis. So one of the most popular reports is your profitability one. So in here we have a list of the sales that have gone through, the costs associated with that job to give you your gross profit on the job, and then any additional overheads that have been applied to the job to give you your net profit or loss in this case. For this one job, but if we had no jobs highlighted on our list initially, then you would produce the report of every single job that was on your list. And these reports on the screen can be saved as any of the formats that you see on there. Probably one of the most popular one is saving it as a PDF, which you can do, or you can email the report from there. You've got your purchase order layouts on there, your revenue summary reports, you've got your setup lists and your timesheet analysis reports within there as well. So an extensive list of reports, but if you do have any specific requirements, then you can tailor the reports using your edit button, which will pop open the report designer for you to then amend as required. And if you've got Sage cover on your job costing software, then please do just give us a call and we'll be able to help you with any inquiries that you may have. So thanks for your time and your interest in Sage 50 job costing, and I hope to speak to you again soon. Thank you.